Welcome to another episode of Well To Do. It's the podcast that helps you have abundance when it comes to wellness and all the things you need to feel really vitalistic and well. I'm Andi Lew, and we are powered today by a great brand called Aries Tech, a global company that helps you harmonize against the EMFs, the electromagnetic frequency. Now, we're going to give a gift to our guest today. It's the Flex, and I'm actually wearing the Flex on my necklace, but you can put it on your keychain as well. So let's welcome our guest. He's the author of Metabolic Freedom, Ben Azadi.
Hey, Andi. Great to be with you in LA.
I know. Yeah, he's not from LA, you guys. So this is a really special trip. You're on book tour.
Yes.
And you're helping us to, I guess, lose weight.
Yeah, get healthy and lose weight. The weight loss is a side effect of good health.
Oh my goodness, right? So if we don't have weight to lose, we can still benefit from having a great, metabolism, I guess. It's all the things to do with anti-aging. Tell us about it.
That's right. The metabolism is everything. So even if your goal is not weight loss, it's about having a flexible, efficient metabolism. We hear a lot of people say, I want to boost the metabolism, or I have a slow metabolism, but the metabolism doesn't necessarily work in speeds. It's either efficient or inefficient. So even if you're lean, you could have an inefficient metabolism and be aging fast, not good. So the goal is to have a flexible metabolism that could burn sugar, burn fat. You don't eat food like fasting, you're burning your own body fat, and that will extend your lifespan. You'll have amazing energy levels and you'll feel really good.
I mean, look at you. You're jumping around in the chair. You've got all the energy.
I'm fasting right now. I've got ketones in the bloodstream. Yeah, I feel good. Yeah.
Drinking a 4 of water.
This amazing water here. It's getting super oxygenated. Yes.
I mean, this is really good basic information for people to understand. Everybody is talking about autophagy at the moment and fasting you just mentioned. Can we get a better metabolism without fasting though?
You can. And autophagy, of course, is great. It's this cellular cleanup process. It's like Pac-Man going within your cells, cleaning out the junk. We want spurts of that. And fasting is one way to get autophagy. And I love fasting as that method, but you don't have to fast. You could do it through strength training. You could do it through certain ingredients like mushroom extract, curcumin, polyphenols, and olive oil.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so all the good stuff. So you don't technically need to fast, but most people, when I ask them if they practice intermittent fasting, they will say no. And then I'll kind of look at their schedule and they accidentally do it, because if you go to bed, let's say at 10 p.m. and you're done eating at, let's say 8 p.m., and then you wake up the next morning, you don't eat until 8 or 10 a.m., that's about a 12 to 14 hour fast. You should get a little bit of autophagy, and technically you're doing fasting without knowing it.
Now, I talk about this all the time. I've been talking about it for decades. I just got goosebumps when I thought about it, because you naturally fast when you're in alignment. And this is why I wrote the book Connected, a paradigm shift in how we view health. When you're in alignment with your emotional status and your lifestyle. So if you think about it, we're also fasting when we're in love, when we're having sex, when we are grieving the loss of someone, because we're actually metabolizing or digesting other things.
Good point. Exactly. People think of fasting and they might have like a visualization of maybe a monk in a robe, like on a mountain. Yeah. And there's so many variations of it. And to your point, we naturally do it during different emotions or times of our life.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we get connected to that, it might even work better long term. Instead of using your book, Metabolic Freedom, to go, this is just another thing, right? Let's turn this into a lifestyle. So I saw you had recipes in there as well. And I want to deep dive into the foods, because as a certified wellness coach, food, lifestyle, wellness coach, I did nutrition, and this was a really comprehensive read when it comes to nutrition. What are your favorite foods for creating metabolic freedom?
Yeah, my favorite foods are going to be foods that are, of course, whole foods. And we hear that all the time, but single ingredient foods. And animal-based is really anti-inflammatory. So we hear sometimes about red meat being linked to cancer or being something that we want to avoid because of heart disease. But red meat, like high quality, organic, grass-fed, grass-finished red meat, is one of the most anti-inflammatory foods that supports your metabolism. There's not one vegetable on this planet that has the amount of minerals and nutrients in high-quality red meat. So I'll put red meat at the top of the list.
Right.
I'll put eggs with the yolk, like pastured organic eggs with the yolk. Mother Nature's multivitamin in there. It has choline, zeaxanthin, all these amazing things.
I know, the whole separation of the yolk from the white is just ridiculous. It's a whole food. God designed it for us to eat it in its entirety.
Exactly.
And when we say whole food, we don't mean the whole donut. We mean...
Yeah, no, exactly. That's not even a real food. It's a Franken food. Yeah. So, I mean, a perfect example is this. I talk about this in the book, like a potato, right? Let's say we go to the supermarket and we're buying a potato and we look at the ingredient list of a potato. There's only one ingredient, the potato, an avocado, the beef, the beef.
Right.
But if we go into the inner aisle and get potato chips, now it's processed. There's 25 different ingredients. It's inflammatory. So if you could just stick with single ingredient whole foods, that's a good first step, whether it's a plant-based whole food or an animal-based whole food.
Look, I'm like you. I like getting people excited about eating as close to nature as possible. When you look at the potato as well, the skin itself is so high in vitamin C, and the way in which the whole food works in concert with each other is what is the miraculous part of creating metabolic freedom, I suppose. What about if you are vegan, and that's okay? Good vegans actually really do it well. Like they eat a lot of nuts and seeds, they eat a lot of fats, and they eat the foods in its entirety. A lot of, no processed packaged foods. I used to be a vegetarian for 16 years.
Wow.
So, I haven't been one for a long time, but I'm just acknowledging the audience if they are. See you talk about, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, all of those sorts of things that we forget about because we go, oh yeah, I eat almonds. I eat almond meal, whatever. No, what about the walnuts? What about the wide variety of the good fats? So let's talk about all the foods that we forget to eat. I saw pomegranates was on the list. And again, one of my favorite foods because it actually calms the mast cells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're spot on. And I didn't want to, isolate the vegans or vegetarians. So I gave some options in the book. And it's a little bit more challenging to achieve metabolic freedom as a vegan or vegetarian. Doesn't mean you cannot. And I respect anybody's, approach to how they want to live their life. So yeah, pomegranates are great. Different nuts and seeds. Macadamia nuts are, one of my favorite. Good, healthy fats, monounsaturated fats.
So creamy.
Creamy, taste amazing. You got to be careful with them because if I had a whole bag of them, I could just go through the bag. So I have to grab a handful, put the bag away. Yeah, they're just so delicious to me.
I can stop. I feel so satiated.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. So for me, I just go overboard with them. But depending on if you're vegan or vegetarian, right? So if you're vegetarian like you were, there's different types, right? Some vegetarians could have fish, and that's great. If you could add in some salmon, small fatty fish, great option.
Yeah.
Butter, ghee, if you do dairy, great option. Eggs, some vegetarians do that. But if you're strictly a vegan plant-based, which I was for a year and a half, by the way, back in 2012.
You're laughing because it didn't work for you,
It didn't work for me long term. No, it didn't. And, for most people, it doesn't. But I also respect those who want to stick with it. I understand. Then organic soy would be good for you. And I talk about this in the book. Tempeh, natto, like organic fermented soys.
Non-genetically modified.
Yeah, non-GMO. Yeah, organic, non-GMO. And that's a good protein source for vegans. Yeah,
it's so hard to get non-GMO. Say that 3 times really fast. Non-GMO foods, unless you're living in Europe, because it's actually a law.
Yes.
Nothing's allowed to be genetically modified.
So that's why they're healthier than us.
Oh my goodness, that's one of the reasons, isn't it? And they walk so much more than us as well. So let's talk about like movement because we're the most sedentary people on the planet right now. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Yeah, they've been saying that sedentary lifestyle or sitting is the new smoking, right? There's a study I published in the book that showed if you just got 5,000 to 7,000 steps every day, which is not that much, you would reduce your chances of dying from all-cause mortality by around 65% compared to those who got less than 3,000 steps. So yeah, you want to walk. You want to get at least 5,000 steps a day, and if you could time a walk after your meals, or if not all meals, your biggest meal of the day, you're going to get the biggest benefit. Because what happens is when you eat a big meal, and especially carbohydrates, there's a big blood sugar spike. The higher that blood sugar spike goes, the more insulin is produced, the more problems that can happen over time, the more fat you store. But when you go for at least a 10-minute walk after you eat a big meal, you could reduce that blood sugar spike by 10 to 35%. So timing your walks after your meals is very important. But in general, just getting steps throughout the day is key.
I love that so much because innately we do want to go for a bit of a walk after dinner, let's say. And now I know why you're taking Natasha, your fiance, out for big hikes because you want her to live longer.
Yes. Yeah. So we're going to go have like a big lunch and then we're going to go to Griffith Park and walk right after that. So
exactly.
The best time to do that. Yes.
You planned it. It's all intentional.
Exactly.
Let's talk about then the foods that are bad and the obesogens.
Yeah. These are our toxins in our food supply. the food supply in the US is the perfect delivery system for these toxins. And these obesogens, as you just said, Andy, they're called that for a reason because they make obese humans and animals. When they enter the body, the body wants to survive. So it turns on a pathway, not to get too complicated, called PPAR gamma, which shuttles those obesogens, those toxins, into our fat cells. Because the solution to pollution is dilution. The body could dilute those toxins by putting into the fat cells or in creating new fat cells. So we are going to find this in a lot of foods that are packaged in plastic, plastic water bottles, of course, plastic Tupperware, plastic cutting boards, cash register receipts. By the way, it's a big mistake that we make when we go to Whole Foods supermarket or in general, any supermarket, and they're handing you the receipt. I would say no to that because there are about 1,000 times more toxins in that cash register receipt than canned food in terms of BPA. These are going to be found in a lot of packaged and ultra processed foods.
Wow.
So when we're looking at the ingredients list, if there's items you cannot pronounce, if there's 20 plus ingredients, these are red flags. Red dye 40, they're banning a lot of these ingredients. These make us sick and inflamed. Then I'll just add one more real quick. Processed fats like vegetable oils and seed oils, which are in 80% of our food supply. I dedicate a whole section to it.
Yeah, I saw. You really listed them off, but I think you forgot rapeseed oil.
Yeah, rapeseed oil. You're right. That's called canola oil in the U.S. It's called rapeseed oil in the U.K.
Right.
Yeah, and those are all inflammatory. They stay in your body for years. There's one study that I showed in the book that a toxicologist, Dr. Martin Grudfeld, looked at French fries cooked in vegetable oil, seed oils, and he was measuring a toxin called aldehydes, which when you smoke cigarettes, you also produce aldehydes. And he showed that in 25 French fries that were cooked in vegetable oil, it produced about the same amount of 25 tobacco cigarettes smoked, which means one French fry cooked in vegetable oil is a tobacco cigarette smoked.
So, I knew about this. When I wrote a book, this was what made me a bestseller. It's called Eat Fat, Be Thin, and then it went on to another, Eat Fat, Be Lean.
Yes.
And, these are called trans fats for those who are just learning, if you're just coming on board with us now. But it just blew my mind how pretty the fields of the rapeseed oil, crops looked in the UK when I was there recently. But yet it's something that's being made and grown to make us unhealthy, but it's a cheap thing that's a filler that's creating, I guess a cheap product to buy in a supermarket. The thing is, we really should stay away from supermarkets if we can and go and, I guess, support the local farmers markets. I say to a lot of my wellness coaching clients, go and hang out with a friend on a Sunday by taking them to a farmer's market. Like, that's a great thing to do with a mate, right?
It's a great tip. Yeah.
Yeah. And so give us some other tips that we can do where we work into our lifestyle. So the first one we've got is eating, say, after a meal, walking straight after a big meal that we've eaten. We're avoiding all of the trans fats and these processed foods. Let's talk more about, we've done fasting. What about times of day that are best to do X, Y, and Z? Tell us about that.
So we're more designed to eat more of our calories during the day. So if you had like your biggest meal at breakfast, it's better than having it at dinner. Now it's a little bit more complicated for people's schedule because they have dinner, they go out. But if you could eat when the sun is up and when the sun's down, you're done eating, just that simple rule right there, you will benefit. Now, of course, in the summer, like we are right now, it's easier to do that because the sun doesn't set till 8 p.m. But during the winter where it's 5 p.m., a little bit more challenging. But we're designed to have most of our calories during the day. That's when we are more insulin sensitive. And at night, we're more insulin resistant. So we're not going to process it as efficiently. And there's some things you can do, like apple cider vinegar. It's a great little tip, right? If you take a shot of 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar 30 minutes before your biggest meal of the day, dilute it with water, drink it through a straw so you're protecting your teeth, or even take like a supplement form, you're going to produce, it's going to help your liver process the fats in that meal. It's going to also help with acid reflux and GERD. People think I cannot do apple cider vinegar because they have GERD. It's actually because of too little acid, not too much acid in most cases. So apple cider vinegar is something that you could do 30 minutes before a meal, have your meal, go for a walk. But in general, you want to have most of your calories earlier in the day. Your breakfast should actually be the biggest meal of the day, not dinner.
Love that so much. There are so many things that are making us fat. And I think it's important to note that it's not one thing, but anyone who's listening should just start to apply, one or two things. And I think most people get overwhelmed. Well, I have to do all of this now, just because you've heard it in a 25-minute podcast. But if you just start to chip away, you'll see a massive difference, won't you?
That's right. You make a good point, because it could feel overwhelming. It's like, okay, walk after a meal, apple cider vinegar, canola oil. Find one thing, master it. And what I say in the book is 1 tweak a week, right? You just build you build momentum, and then you stack the habit. And that's how it changed my life,
You
right?
have a lot of rhymes. You're going to have good dad jokes.
Yeah,
I think.
thank you. My fiance doesn't think so, but he thinks it's too corny. But yes, I think the kids would like it.
I think I am corny. Okay, well,
too.
yeah, everyone's got a different sense of humor, haven't we? I think at the end of the day, there are other obesogens as well that I'd like to touch on. Think about perfume. I haven't worn perfume for about 20 years.
Smart.
And everybody's spraying it on their thyroid area.
Oh my gosh.
I
Yeah.
mean, think about that. I mean, what's it doing? What are our hormones doing? Let's talk about hormones.
Yeah, these are, to your point, they're endocrine disrupting chemicals, EDCs. And they're creating cell inflammation. And that's a problem, because all of our hormones, all 600 plus hormones in the body, need to connect to our cells and our cell receptor sites. And if they're getting inflamed because of these toxins from cologne and perfume,
Yep.
it's creating hormone resistance. And that could be thyroid, as you mentioned, if you're putting on your thyroid, or just affecting the gland directly.
Yeah.
And it's a problem. Like when I go, I'm traveling now, so I'm in a lot of Ubers. I took an Uber here. And when I enter an Uber, if sometimes either the person driving is just loaded with cologne or perfume, or they have like the Febreze,
The Christmas tree hanging
Christmas
off the
tree,
mirror.
it's so
I feel
toxic.
sick instantly, and I
I
tell
know.
them to throw it away.
Yeah, do you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you do that. Yeah, so I'm not that bold. I just open up the windows. But these are chemicals, if we breathe them in, which we do if it's on our body, if we're in the environment, it's disrupting our hormones by causing cell inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
And you might think, okay, it's not a big deal. It's just I'm wearing it once in a while. But if your stress bucket is already so overfilled
Mm-hmm.
and you're already inflamed, this is just going to add additional stressor. It's not a good idea.
It's that once in a while. I remember when I was running a chiropractic practice, and people would go, when you ask them, do you get headaches? Oh yeah, just a normal headache. But what's a normal headache? And it's just once a week. And what do you do once a week? Oh, I just take a tablet once a week. It's just normal. But it's not normal,
No.
is it? None of these things are normal.
No.
And so that stacking effect, that layered effect, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're hit with something, or you're overweight. A lot of the foods I saw in the book also help with parasites and making sure that they can't thrive. So I feel like there are a lot of people who are having not just like weight issues, but all kinds of issues, sleep and all that. And so creating a host or an environment where parasites can't live is key. Let's talk about some of the foods. When you say whole foods, break down their role. So for example, the onions and the garlic that you say to have, that's also great for creating prebiotics, which create a probiotic environment or home. So, see how everything is like not just doing one thing. So let's talk about how miraculous that is.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's so many different options, which is great news, because you're not restricted to one diet or one approach. There's amazing prebiotics, like you just mentioned, the onions, the garlics, the leek, the carrots in some cases, right? Fermented foods like kimchi, tempeh, natto, things that I mentioned earlier with the vegans, but sauerkraut is great. And these feed the good guys in your gut microbiome, as you know, and then it creates a healthier, more diverse microbiome. And what that means is the more beneficial, healthy bacteria you have in your gut, the better you're going to feel. The more energy, the more fat loss. And I'll give you a perfect example of how this works. People don't tie the gut to fat loss. And I was making the case in chapter 2, where I was talking about the changing the paradigm for fat loss, that when we focus on calories, it's a mistake, because it's focusing on the symptom.
Yeah.
Meaning nobody has a weight problem, they have a weight symptom. And there was a study done on fecal microbial transplants, and 2 groups of obese individuals. What they did is one group, they got a fecal microbial transplant, meaning they got the gut bacteria from lean donors to repopulate their gut bacteria and create more diversity. The other group didn't get that, and they kept the calories the same, but the group that repopulated the gut bacteria lost weight, because when you have healthy gut bacteria, you function better, you lower inflammation.
Right.
So eating these foods that feed the good guys are amazing. And it's so much better than just taking a probiotic. I'm not against taking probiotics, but feeding him with prebiotics is so much better.
Right. So getting all of the nutrition from foods is such a wonderful thing, right?
Yes.
The word supplement, and I'm a lover of language as an author, it's to supplement.
The food.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
being able to get your nutrition from food is key. And I talk about assimilation of nutrition too. It's not just about having nutrition, but if you can't assimilate the nutrition through having a good microbiome, through having a great nervous system and hormones, then you may as well be peeing the supplement out.
That's right.
It's a waste of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, hail to the real foods, the whole foods, and giving, I guess, thanks to what God or the universe, whatever you want to call it, gave us.
Exactly.
Right? Now, this is getting a bit spiritual. I just want to ask you, were you ever fat?
I was more than fat. I was obese for 20 plus years. Yes. From my childhood up until I was 24 years old, I was obese, physically and mentally obese.
Right. And it feels like such a dirty word when you ask that question, right? It's like a hard thing for people to accept. And, I feel like there has been some judgment and shame. And a lot of people that I work with, when they are overweight, instead, let's use that word, feel embarrassed. There's so many layers that come with being severely underweight or severely overweight. What do you think some of those layers are? I always say it's directly correlated to emotional stuff as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Most of it is emotional. It's mental. It's the way you view yourself, your self-image, 100%. Yeah, both are problematic, right? The body will give you symptoms when you are doing something out of alignment. You mentioned the headache earlier. That's a symptom. It's not the problem. It's showing you that something you're eating, something in your environment, the perfume you mentioned, is causing the headache. We shouldn't mask it. If you're underweight, it's a symptom. If you're overweight, it's a symptom. They're both not the problem, right? So when you're overweight, this is my experience, you're going to feel fatigued. You're going to have inflammation. My knees were feeling inflamed. My back was feeling inflamed. I had depression. I had suicidal thoughts. And once I got healthy, then the weight started to come off as a side effect. So many people think we need to lose weight to get healthy. That's the whole calories in versus calories out approach. But that's not how the metabolism works. We get healthy to lose weight.
Say it again, please, because I've got someone that I'm wanting to wellness coach that doesn't quite get this, and I realize it's a common theme. Say it again so it sinks in.
The body doesn't lose weight to get healthy. It gets healthy to lose weight. So nobody has a weight problem. They have a weight symptom. The real problem is hormones and inflammation. So when you actually start focusing on hormones and inflammation, not on just cutting calories and macros, the old way of thinking, you not only get healthy and have more energy, the weight comes off and it stays off.
It's the byproduct.
It's the byproduct of getting healthy. And it stays off because now you've restored the metabolism.
But let's keep going into them understanding it's not their fault. By the way, I used to be 10 kilos heavier than what I am now. I was very inflamed, overweight, if you like. I was in proportion though. I was teaching aerobics at the time, 5 days a week. I was a health professional, fitness professional. But there was some other stuff going on. So I know what it feels like firsthand where you say, well, it's not my fault. Because the allopathic model will say, if I may say, the medical model has taught us to go, well, then if it is my hormones, then give me a hormone peptide, let's say, and just fix my hormones. So how can we empower the person to know that if they take control just by changing diet and lifestyle, that they're already at more of a head start than any drug? And by the way, full disclaimer here, we're both not doctors and we're not giving medical advice. And if you do have something that's acute, please do work with your health practitioner of choice. But it is important for people to start working with their health practitioner on helping them get off drugs eventually. You can't stay on them forever.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, deprescribing, right? That's so important these days. Yeah, with when you're overweight, a lot of problems and a lot of things happen, right? You experience it, I experience it as well. And the focus should be on hormones and inflammation, like I said. And the body's so incredible. If you remove the interference, it will heal. It will heal whether you're 25 years old or 75 years old.
The body wants to heal.
The body wants to heal. It's all about identifying the interference. So like you said, it's not your fault because of the way we've been brainwashed and we've been taught to believe, it's all about calories in versus calories out.
Or whatever trauma has
happened. Or whatever
happened.
trauma. However, it is your responsibility. There's a difference there. And I don't know if you disagree with that, but it might not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. And what I learned.
That. Yeah, I like that.
And I learned that from Dr. Wayne Dyer. He used to always say, responsibility is your ability to respond to life. If you are blaming If you're the victim, blaming your genetics, blaming your slow metabolism, like me, you're going to get poor results. When you take ownership and responsibility, that's the first step to great change. So it might not be your fault, true, but it is your responsibility. And as long as you focus on hormones and inflammation, everything else takes care of itself. Just identify what is the interference. Maybe you're not getting quality sleep. Maybe it's emotional stress because of a relationship or work, right? When you start reducing the stressors, the body starts to adapt and it starts to heal. The weight comes off, the symptoms go away as a side effect.
So true. So it's like so overwhelming, all the things that we need to do, but that's where we just have to dip our toe into the pool and pick one thing.
That's right.
To allow the layers to start to fall away, right?
One tweak a week. That's it, Andi.
Love it. You got all these little sayings. Now, what I love to do is I play a little game. I do this on my book tours, my press tours. I just think of something, I hold a thought, and I open up the book to a certain page, and that's what we're meant to receive in this moment.
I love it.
So we've opened to the post-meal glucose response. And you're talking about macronutrition here, which is interesting because I usually shy away from macros because it's such an old school fitness thing. I'm more into micronutrition because that's a wellness thing. Obviously, we need both.
Yeah.
But talk to me about this page.
Yeah, so that page has a graph of blood insulin from different macronutrients. So we have 3 macronutrients, as you know, but we have protein, we have carbohydrates, and we have fat. 93% of Americans are, they're what I call sugar burners. They're metabolically unhealthy. That's according to a 2022 study. They have high levels of insulin. So for 93% of people watching and listening right now, the goal is to lower your blood insulin. So I show this graph on that page you just randomly chose that showed that carbohydrates will raise blood insulin levels way more than protein and fat.
Okay.
And of course, processed carbs will raise it more than whole foods carbohydrates. But if you have insulin resistance, high insulin, the goal is to lower the carbs and increase protein and fat until you get more sensitive levels of insulin. So that page is showing that. And in general, I also like to focus on micronutrients and get away. We don't talk about calories here, but in order to shift somebody into fat burning ketosis, we do need to know how many carbs they're having. So there's a small focus on macros in the beginning as we get them what I call fat adapted.
Interesting. So that's for like, people who really are overweight and obese. That's so important for them just to get a kick start, right? And I mean, you are on a bit of a mission. You're walking your talk, so that's great. Anyone who's actually loved this episode, I will invite you to share the bleep out of it. Too many people really need this. And where can we find you, Ben?
Share the bleep out of it. I love it. Well, it's been an honor collaborating with you. I love what you're doing. 10 books. She wrote 10 books. It's amazing. So you could get the book. We have a free bonus course we're giving away for anybody who wants to get the book. We have a course on the metabolism for free, and then interviews with Dr. Jason Fung, Dr. Daniel Pompa, Megan Ramos, and Cynthia Thurlow, all for free over at metabolicfreedombook.com. The book is available on hardcover, Audible, Spotify. I narrated those myself, and of course, Kindle. And it's a New York Times bestseller, so you can find it at all bookstores, airports, etc. Yeah.
I just got to pick up that name, the names you dropped. Oh.
What does that mean? Like
Dr. Pompa, all the people.
All the great metabolic health experts. All those interviews are free if you go to metabolicfreedombook.com to get the book.
Well, it's been backed by lots of other experts. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you loved Well To Do this episode, please share the bleep out of it. I'm Andi Lew, and thank you so much, Ben Azadi.
Thank you, Andi Lew.